There was one moment when Robin Williams, the fastest comedian in Hollywood, sat on stage and said, "I can't keep up with him." Who could possibly make Robin Williams say that? Jonathan Winters. Today, you're going to witness the legendary moments when the comedy titans, Robin Williams and Jonathan Winters, appeared together on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and created such chaos that the studio audience couldn't stop laughing for 10 straight minutes. In this video, you'll discover why Robin Williams called Jonathan Winters his comedy father, and the 5 moments that were so funny, even Johnny Carson lost his composure. But first, did you know the deep connection between these two? Spoiler alert, this wasn't just comedy. This was a guru-disciple relationship that changed entertainment forever. So buckle up, because this journey is going to be epic. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is incredibly special because we're diving into the world of 2 comedy legends who literally redefined American comedy, Jonathan Winters and Robin Williams. If you're a comedy fan, you've definitely heard these names. But today, I'm taking you back to that golden era when The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson ruled television. And when these 2 comedy kings appeared together on stage, pure magic happened. The 70s and 80s were a time when there was no internet, no social media, and television was the biggest entertainment medium. And the most popular show of that era? The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson was a legendary host who entertained millions of Americans every single night. And whenever a comedian appeared on his show, their career would skyrocket overnight. But when Jonathan Winters and Robin Williams appeared together, it wasn't just their careers that took off. The entire show reached a completely different level. So let's get started. But before we dive in, if this is your first time on this channel, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss amazing stories like this. And if you enjoy this video, smash that like button and drop a comment telling me your favorite comedy moment. Now, let's jump into the golden age of comedy. First, let's talk about Jonathan Winters. Jonathan Harshman Winters III was born on November 11th, 1925, in Dayton, Ohio. This man wasn't just a comedian. He was a master of improvisation. Improvisation means creating comedy spontaneously, without a script, without preparation. And in this art form, Jonathan Winters was absolutely unmatched. He served in the U.S. Marine Corps during World War II. After the war, he turned to comedy as his career. Jonathan Winters was famous for his multiple characters. He could stand on stage and play 10 to 15 different characters, different voices, different body language, different personalities. He openly talked about his mental health struggles, which was extremely rare in that era. He used comedy as his therapy. Johnny Carson boldly stated that Jonathan Winters was his absolute favorite guest because he would literally hijack the show in the best way possible. What was Jonathan Winters' style? He would pick up any ordinary object, a stick, a hat, a chair, and improvise an entire comedy sketch around it. His mind was so fast that he would fire off jokes one after another so quickly that the audience barely had time to breathe between laughs. Jonathan Winters once said, "If your ship doesn't come in, swim out to meet it." This was his life philosophy. Never wait, take action, create your own opportunities. And that's exactly what he did in comedy. Jonathan Winters influenced an entire generation of comedians. His improvisational style became the foundation for modern comedy. He didn't just tell jokes. He created entire worlds, characters, and scenarios out of thin air. He appeared on The Tonight Show over 50 times, and every single appearance was memorable. Johnny Carson would often just give him a prop and step back, knowing that Winters would create comedy gold. One of his most famous bits involved him picking up a simple stick. Within minutes, that stick became a fishing rod, then a sword, then a conductor's baton, then a rifle, and the transformations kept coming. Each transformation came with a fully developed character and scenario. This wasn't rehearsed. This was pure genius flowing in real time. Now let's talk about Robin Williams. Robin McLaurin Williams was born on July 21st, 1951, in Chicago, Illinois. If Jonathan Winters was the king of improvisation, Robin Williams became the emperor of it. Robin Williams grew up as a shy kid. Yes, you heard that right. The man who would become one of the most energetic performers ever was actually introverted as a child. He discovered comedy and acting as a way to connect with people. He studied theater at Juilliard School in New York, one of the most prestigious performing arts schools in the world. In 1978, Robin Williams got his big break playing the alien Mork in the TV show Mork and Mindy. The show was a massive hit, and Robin's improvisational skills were so incredible that the writers would often write, "Mork can go off here" in the script, giving him freedom to improvise. Robin Williams' comedy was like a hurricane. He would switch between characters, accents, and topics at lightning speed. One moment he'd be doing a British accent, the next he'd transform into a Russian, then into a Southern preacher, all within seconds. His mind worked at incredible speed. Comedians who worked with him said it was like watching someone channel multiple people at once. Here's where it gets beautiful. Robin Williams grew up watching Jonathan Winters on television. Winters was his hero, his inspiration, the reason he got into comedy. Robin would later say in interviews, "Jonathan Winters was my comedy father. Watching him taught me that you could be free, that you could go anywhere with comedy." When Robin finally met Jonathan on The Tonight Show, it was like a dream come true for him. And what's more beautiful, Jonathan Winters immediately recognized Robin's genius and embraced him like a son. The relationship between Jonathan Winters and Robin Williams was special. It wasn't competition, it was mutual admiration and love. They inspired each other, pushed each other, and created some of the most memorable comedy moments in television history. Johnny Carson knew this chemistry was gold. Whenever he could get both of them on the show together, he would. And those episodes became legendary. Before we dive into the funniest moments, let's understand why The Tonight Show was such a big deal. The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson ran from 1962 to 1992. That's 30 years. It was the platform for comedians, actors, musicians, and celebrities. Getting invited to sit on Johnny's couch meant you had made it. Johnny Carson was brilliant because he knew when to lead and when to step back. With most guests, he would drive the conversation. But with comedic geniuses like Jonathan Winters and Robin Williams, he would set them up and let them fly. He was secure enough in his own talent to let others shine. That's what made him a legendary host. The show typically had Johnny's opening monologue, comedy sketches, guest interviews, and musical performances. But when Jonathan Winters and Robin Williams appeared together, the format would go out the window. The scheduled segments would run over because the comedy was just too good to cut short. Why were their appearances so special? First, unpredictability. You never knew what would happen. Even Johnny didn't know. Second, genuine laughter. The laughter wasn't canned or fake. The audience, the crew, and even Johnny would be genuinely cracking up. Third, improvisational mastery. Watching the masters of improvisation play off each other was like watching a jazz performance, spontaneous, brilliant, and unrepeatable. At fourth, mutual respect. The love and respect between Jonathan, Robin, and Johnny was visible. This wasn't about egos, it was about creating great comedy together. Now, let's get to what you've been waiting for, the funniest moments. In one legendary episode from the early 1980s, Johnny Carson brought out a box of random props, a hat, a cane, some fabric, random household items. He gave them to Jonathan and Robin and said, "Go." What happened next was pure comedy chaos. Jonathan grabbed the hat and instantly became a 1920s gangster. Robin picked up the cane and transformed into an elderly British gentleman. Then they started interacting with each other in character. But here's where it got insane. They kept switching characters every 30 seconds. Jonathan would become a cowboy. Then Robin would become an Indian chief. Jonathan would become a French chef. Robin would become a food critic. The studio audience was laughing so hard that Johnny had to call for commercial breaks twice. Because they couldn't control the laughter. The prop battle lasted over 15 minutes, and not a single moment was scripted. It was all pure, spontaneous genius. Another legendary moment happened in the 1982 episode. Johnny Carson made an offhand comment about accents, and that was all the trigger Jonathan and Robin needed. They started doing accents from around the world: German, French, Italian, Russian, Japanese, Indian, Australian, Scottish, Irish. But they weren't just doing accents. They were creating full characters with backstories. Robin would start a sentence in one accent, and Jonathan would finish it in a completely different accent, creating this absurd but hilarious conversation. At one point, Robin did an impression of a Russian trying to speak English, and Jonathan jumped in as a German trying to translate, but he didn't speak Russian or English properly. The confusion was so funny that Johnny Carson actually fell back in his chair laughing. The best part? They kept this going for almost 20 minutes, never repeating an accent, never running out of ideas. Then there was the 1984 episode where Johnny Carson started a normal interview with Jonathan Winters. He asked him a simple question: "So Jonathan, what have you been up to lately?" Jonathan started answering in character, as a character he invented on the spot, named Maud Frickert, an elderly woman with strong opinions about everything. Robin Williams, who was the next guest and was waiting backstage, heard the laughter and couldn't resist. He walked onto the stage unannounced. Johnny didn't stop him. He knew gold when he saw it. Robin sat down and immediately started playing along. He became Maud's grandson, who was always getting into trouble. For the next 30 minutes, Johnny Carson barely spoke. He just watched as Jonathan and Robin created this entire family drama, complete with arguments, reconciliations, flashbacks, and plot twists. The audience was in tears from laughing. Even the camera crew was shaking because they were laughing so hard. At the end, Johnny said, "I have no idea what just happened, but that was the greatest thing I've ever seen on this show." In a 1985 episode during the height of sci-fi movies, Johnny brought up the topic of extraterrestrial life. Jonathan Winters immediately became an alien from Mars, not with costume or props, just with his performance. He started speaking in a made-up alien language, doing strange movements, and explaining Earth customs from an alien perspective. Robin Williams countered by becoming an alien from Venus, and he started arguing with Jonathan's Martian character about whose planet was better. They debated everything: whose planet had better food, better entertainment, better technology. But the genius was in the details. They created entire alien cultures on the spot. Robin's Venusian character was sophisticated and cultured, while Jonathan's Martian was rough and practical. The contrast was hilarious. Then Johnny asked them, "What do you think of humans?" What followed was 10 minutes of them roasting human behavior from an alien perspective. Traffic jams, fashion trends, political systems, all improvised, all brilliant. Not all funny moments are loud and crazy. Sometimes the funniest and most touching moments are quiet. In one of their later appearances together in the late 1980s, Johnny asked Robin Williams about his influences. Robin immediately got emotional and pointed to Jonathan Winters, "This man right here. He's the reason I do comedy. He taught me that comedy isn't just about making people laugh. It's about freedom, truth, and connecting with humanity." Jonathan, never one to get too sentimental, immediately broke the emotional moment by pretending to be embarrassed and doing a funny character to deflect. But Robin wouldn't let him deflect completely. He grabbed Jonathan's hand and said, "I love you, man. You're my hero." Jonathan paused, and for a moment, the comedy genius became vulnerable. He looked at Robin and said, "And you took everything I did and made it better. That's the greatest gift you could give me." The audience didn't laugh. They applauded. Even Johnny Carson had tears in his eyes. Then, to break the tension, both of them immediately jumped into characters and started doing a comedy bit. But everyone in that studio knew they had witnessed something special, a genuine moment of love between the comedy legends. The impact of Jonathan Winters and Robin Williams on comedy cannot be overstated. Before them, most comedy was scripted. They proved that improvisation could be art. Modern comedians who do multiple characters all owe a debt to Jonathan Winters. Robin Williams showed that comedy could be physical, energetic, and athletic. Both men showed that comedians could be vulnerable, talk about their struggles, and still be funny. Jim Carrey has cited both as major influences, while Farrell's character work echoes Jonathan Winters. Hank Azaria, the voice of many Simpsons characters, studied both their techniques. Modern improv comedy owes everything to their pioneering work. Jonathan Winters passed away on April 11th, 2013, at the age of 87. The comedy world mourned the loss of a true original. Robin Williams was devastated by Jonathan's death. He said, "First you cry, then you celebrate," because Jonathan Winters lived the kind of life everyone should live, full, creative, and on his own terms. Tragically, Robin Williams himself passed away on August 11th, 2014, at the age of 63. The world lost one of the greatest entertainers ever, but their legacy lives on in every comedian who dares to improvise, in every performer who creates characters, and in every artist who believes that comedy can change the world. What can we learn from Jonathan Winters and Robin Williams? First, be authentically yourself. Both men were uniquely themselves. They didn't try to copy other comedians. They found their own voice and style. Second, take risks. Improvisation is risky. You might fail. You might not get laughs. But both men took those risks every single time they performed. Third, support others. The relationship between Jonathan and Robin shows that you can admire someone and still be yourself. You can have heroes and still become a hero to others. Fourth, never stop creating. Even in their later years, both continued performing, creating, and pushing boundaries. Fifth, use your pain. Both men dealt with personal struggles, but they transformed that pain into art, into laughter, into healing for themselves and others. And sixth, make people feel. Yes, they were funny, but they also made people feel connected, understood, and human. That's the real magic. And there you have it, folks. The legendary moments when Jonathan Winters and Robin Williams appeared together on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and created comedy magic that we still remember decades later. These weren't just funny moments. These were masterclasses in improvisation, character work, and human connection. Now, here's what I need you to do right now. First, smash the like button if you enjoyed this journey through comedy history. Your likes tell YouTube to show this video to more comedy fans like you. Second, subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon. Why? Because I create content like this regularly, deep dives into entertainment legends, untold stories, and amazing moments from television history. Don't miss out. Third, drop a comment below and tell me, what was your favorite moment from this video? Which comedian today reminds you of Jonathan Winters or Robin Williams? What topic should I cover next? I read every single comment, and your suggestions shape future videos. Fourth, share this video. Send it to that friend who loves comedy, who appreciates great improvisation, or who needs a reminder of when television was pure magic. Jonathan Winters once said, "I couldn't wait for success, so I went ahead without it." Robin Williams said, "You're only given a little spark of madness. You mustn't lose it." Both of these legends taught us that comedy isn't just about being funny. It's about being brave, being authentic, and being willing to take risks. They showed us that the best comedy comes from truth, from vulnerability, and from genuine human connection. So whatever you're doing in life, channel that Jonathan Winters energy. Don't wait for permission. Create your own opportunities and channel that Robin Williams spirit. Keep your spark of madness alive. Thank you so much for watching. This has been your host, reminding you that laughter is the best legacy anyone can leave behind. Jonathan and Robin left us the gift of laughter, and as long as we remember them and share their stories, they'll never truly be gone. Until next time, keep laughing, keep creating, and keep being awesome. Peace out.